Hi Nabila, nice seeing you again in Barcelona. Today I want to discuss what are the key topics of the conversations that you are having and we are having with the vendors in terms of the announcements, but in terms of the memory shortage, which is probably the hottest topic of the discussion, more important than the innovation, because they can have all the innovation they can possibly do, but if they don't have the components to supply the products, that's a big issue. So what's going on at the moment?
Absolutely. I mean, MWC has always been about the hype and the buzz and all the new announcements, and everyone's excited about it. But while that is still very important, I appreciate the OEMs are still trying to showcase, right, moving forward in their innovative devices and what for the consumer or the end market. But no one can deny. I think the more important this conference than any other conference has been the closed door conversations, and those have all been focused around the memory shortage, where we can expect the most hit, what are the different changes that are happening. And as you know, we've been saying how this is not just a temporary decline in the market. It's not about the largest decline ever of 13%, but one, the potential that it could be even worse because there's a huge downside risk. But two, that it's going to create, it's not just a temporary decline, it's going to create a lasting, long-term structural reset in the entire industry once this storm or crisis is over.
Or tsunami that is coming.
Yes,
it's
a big one.
It's a big one that will hit the market in the coming months. It's already impacting the market. The prices are going up. What we are hearing from the channels, from the OEMs, prices up 20-30% in some cases. But even if they could afford the new price hike, is also accessing that memory, supply, getting hold of the memory, because if they don't are able to get the memory, regardless of the price, they will not be able to sell their products.
Exactly, and that's one of the key points that sometimes, when we always say how larger players like Apple and Samsung are better positioned or be most shielded from this crisis, it's not only because they have better margins, or people quickly just assume it's because they have more premium devices, so they have larger margins to absorb the increased cost. It's not just because of that. It's what you said, that it's the larger players that are going to have access to the memory supply, right? Because the memory suppliers are also prioritizing who they want to work with. They now have the opportunity to choose, right, to pick and choose. And they are prioritizing larger players. So this is probably the time more than ever where your scale and size and your wider product portfolio gives you that access.
That will test every single strategy from every single vendor, and it will put. They will have to be really smart about the actions they need to do to make sure their businesses don't suffer as much as it probably would if they don't react.
Right. So even if the smaller players, which is unlikely, are willing to pay the higher price, they're just not getting They're not getting callbacks from the memory players, and I think that's very critical. And in terms of the overall market impact, because of that,
let's talk about the forecast we released last week on the smartphones. What is our forecast saying?
So our forecast, of course, as I just mentioned, total market decline, but more importantly, within that, we're going to see a big change, a shift of the competitive dynamics, where complete different in what the vendors that are going to survive this, right? So really low end white labels and OEMs with smaller volumes, consider them almost exiting the market. And then the other players that are going to be able to access, right, the larger but lower end focused OEMs, they're going to be not getting the volume that they need, right? One, and then two, they can't operate at the price point that they used to. So vendors like Transsion, Vivo, Realme, etc., who majority of more than 50% of their volume was on below $100. That's at risk for, I don't want to say extinction, but significant reduction. So we're going to see their volumes decline, even though they're really trying hard to move up in price segments. That's another challenge.
That's when it becomes very hard to compete against Samsung, Apple, etc. Another important disruption that we are seeing currently today is what's going on with the current war between the US and Iran, and of course a lot of disruption in Dubai. You lived many years in Dubai, you know very well the region. So what is happening now?
I mean, of course, as unfortunate as the situation is, the ramifications on the smartphone market are going to be huge, at least as far as this war is concerned in the short term, right? And assuming it doesn't last or carry forward. But already, what we're seeing, the direct implications with the airlines being
Yeah.
shut down, and
People
right,
stranded in
people
Dubai,
stranded.
tourists cannot leave.
And as you know, most phones are shipped, not most, all phones are shipped through air freight, right? And with that being closed down, we're seeing already a significant impact to the shipments that are able to come in this quarter. And that's not just about, UAE or the Gulf region,
No,
but because UAE is the major
it's a
hub
hub.
for the entire
Yeah.
Middle East and Africa region,
And
right?
even for Europe, there's plenty of
And for
distributors
Europe
selling
as
to
well,
Europe.
because it's a hub, right? It's a trade zone, it's a hub. So we're going to see the cascading impacts to Africa as well as to Europe in terms of, again, another challenge, right, to the shipment.
Yeah.
So this is
And Iran closed the Strait of Hormuz, which is one of the most important places where oil tankers move along, and the oil price is already going up. So it's more and more factors impacting the total market, and then the smartphone will suffer from that. We tend to talk a lot about memory shortage, but there's other distribution.
And to that point about the oil prices, with oil prices shooting up as much as they have already, right, and probably it's more, it's not just going to impact the region, but the consumer purchasing power globally. So that is definitely a huge challenge that we're all keeping a close eye on.
Let's move to a more positive topic.
Okay.
What are the biggest devices, the most relevant, the most weird things that you have seen already this week? I can tell you mine.
Yeah. Okay. You know what? You go first.
Okay, I'll tell you mine. I've seen a smartphone for pets. If you have a dog or a cat,
yes,
you can talk to your pet, and the pet can talk to you
really
through that phone. I saw it the other day at Showstoppers. And for pet owners, I'm not a pet owner, but for pet owners, it may be a thing. You'll be able to talk to your cat or dog. Of course, robots dancing on stage all over the show floor.
That was obviously the most surprising element of the Honor launch, right? I mean, we've got many smartphone vendors launching. Obviously, the amazing developments from the S26 that was launched just prior to MWC. So
with the privacy display being a big hit, huge. Everyone talking about that feature.
And I don't mean to simplify it, but it's these simple, right, external, tangible changes that make a big difference to the consumer, right? Everyone's always been buying external privacy screens,
and the way
and now
they
don't
implemented it is really clever. You can select the apps, you can select the notifications,
customize it.
You can blank the entire screen so others cannot see it from the side. It's very well implemented. It's a very clever, and there's a lot of innovation because as they showed during the keynote, there's a lot of innovation going to the display to be able to offer that specific feature.
Is that a good example of the integration of hardware with all the new with software and AI integration? So I think that's going to be a big hit. But aside from that, also what stood out to me was the Honor robot phone. I know a lot of people are talking about it, but it's again a very unique example of integrating all the cutting edge hardware, robotics, and software, and again multimodal AI capabilities. You can essentially carry your agent now literally in your pocket, who can look around and comment and interact with you.
In my opinion, it's a bit gimmicky, but I think it's a very important way for Honor to show their capabilities, their R&D capabilities, and how much they can think outside the box. Because we've seen all devices looking the same. So starting to see this kind of innovation, it's quite exciting because for many years, since the old Nokia days, where we had all sorts of different form factors, maybe now is the time for AI to be not just inside the phone on software and the applications, but to also come outside and integrate
Yeah.
and integrate the hardware,
Yes.
which is quite innovative in that sense.
Exactly. And earlier I thought it was, to what you're saying as well, that, oh, really, it looks gimmicky or it looks, but it is once I got to know the different things that it can do, I was impressed. So that's my genuine feedback. And I
Okay.
think people will be too. It'll attract, like if we talk about the
for-
iPhone Air, right?
Yeah.
It didn't do the sales, but it really pulls people in. When there's
Exactly.
something new,
And that's what a
people are
challenger
attracted
brand like
to it.
Honor needs to
Yes,
get is
exactly.
the attention and the recognition from end users
Yes.
that they are innovative.
Absolutely. Yes.
Excellent. Enjoy the rest of the show. Thank you.
Thank you. You too.